Okay, welcome to Wade's Piano Center. I'm Damon Wade. Today we're going to talk about what to look for when you're buying a piano. This is by no means an exact list of things to look for. So this is just some stuff off the top of my head, in a general list of what to look for in a piano, whether it's a grand, an upright, used grand, used upright. And different conditions of each. I think before you go to look for a piano, maybe make sure that the piano will actually fit in the space that you're thinking of. Kind of common sense, but it's good to think about it. Where are you going to put a piano? You really want to put it on an interior wall. You want to keep it away from heaters, and try to keep it out of direct sunlight. And this is, tricky in a lot of houses and areas. So also try to keep it out of high humidity areas or very, very dry areas. So that's one thing. Also, you should probably make a list. Try to go with a list of, here are some things I want to look for in a piano. Maybe the color of the piano, the style. What are your needs? Are you a beginner? Are you an intermediate player? Have you been playing a long time? What is the next step up if you're going from a used upright or a spinet? Maybe your next piano might be a console piano, which is slightly taller in the back, a little higher, or then maybe an upright. The longer the strings, the scale of the piano, the better the tone. So I guess the first thing is when I look at a piano, I just like, is it something that I would want in my house? Is this going to look good? Is your house have wood floors? Do you want a wood finish on it, or in this case a black finish, a gloss, or a satin finish? These are other things to consider and think about in the room that you're going to keep the piano. I guess if it's a new piano, you're going to just look at it and hopefully you like the look of it. I kind of tend to go towards the sound or the tone of the piano. So actually, let's back up and just the look of the piano. It should, if it's a new piano and it's sitting in a dealer's shop, it should be clean, very clean, shiny clean, no fingerprints. The strings should, if it's new, it should be impeccable. There shouldn't be any defects anywhere with anything on the exterior. All of the board should move, music stand, the top, the lid, also the bench that's going to come with the piano is important. Does the piano match it? Does the piano have the same, the bench have the same finish as the piano, and so forth. So you want to look at that and look into it. I guess even backing up a little bit, also make sure you have time. Try not to be rushed if you're looking at a piano. Go and spend an afternoon, and maybe don't even go with the intent of buying the first time you look. I think looking at a piano is a process that doesn't just happen in the first piano you look at. Oh, I love it. Let's buy it. And it happens, but I don't think I'd recommend it. Maybe come back to it if you love it so much, play some others, and come back to the piano that you really like. But the more pianos you can play, the better. And I think as you play more pianos, you'll start to learn a little bit more about what you like and what you don't like. I like listening when I see a piano. I'm kind of interested, or I want to test it out. I like just playing it and listening to the bass section. If the bass feels and sounds robust and has a depth to it and a good sustain, to me that's a good start. The piano is an interesting creature, so to speak. This is a Yamaha C2, and it's a great piano. And this happens, in my opinion, this is a really nice one, and it's got good tone and good feel, and I like it. I just like the sound of it, and it's in a rough tuning, but it's still tunable enough to hear through it. But you might come across, if you put 10 C2s next to each other, there's going to be some differences between those 10 pianos that were produced at the same time, same factory. Yamaha, or I'm not just saying Yamaha, but any manufacturer, you know, may not like to hear that, but there are differences, and tone is one of those things. So you really want to play it, and you want to try to develop your ear of what you're listening for. If you're kind of a new player, you don't have to play all this great music. You just go up and play some notes, or play octaves, or maybe just play octaves and fifths, or just a couple chords, and just play them over and over. Or I like going through the cycle of fours, getting a different and going through the entire cycle of four, so maybe playing arpeggios up and down the piano, where you're playing the same thing from one piano to the next, and you're kind of using your ears to judge what you like and what you don't like. After I kind of listen to the bass, I'll play some scales, or I like playing the arpeggios up high. Does the piano sustain? Does it keep going with a sustain pedal? How long will it hold that? Are you hearing any weird buzzing sounds? Or, I mean, it could be the tuning. Sometimes you have to listen through the tuning. The piano may not be in the best tuning. That's not always an easy thing to do also. Just play chromatically. So you just have to develop what you want to play and what you like. I like a lot of sustain. I like the instrument to have authority to it when I play it. I like kind of a heavier action myself. Some people like a really light action. The action is how hard the keys are to push down, and also how fast they come up. How fast does the piano react to what you're playing? Will it play quietly? If it has great authority, will the piano play quietly? Can you use dynamics with the piano? Does it have authority when you want it to? The other thing is just looking at it. If it's a used piano, run your fingers across the keys like this. Is it nice and smooth? Is it flat? Or does it kind of move up and down like a roller coaster? You want nice even keys. White keys, the black keys. With used pianos, you know, they're 5, 10, 15 years old or older. You know, are the keys, is the key bed all, up and down? Is it uneven? So that's, especially with the used pianos, if you're going to the used pianos, it's a lot like buying a car or a used car. Has the piano been serviced? Try to figure out the history of the piano. How many owners has the piano had? Do you have maintenance records? Do you have tuning records that come with the piano? That's a big deal. Generally speaking, if a piano hasn't been maintained, it's going to play and sound like it hasn't been maintained. So there are a lot of different levels and conditions that pianos can be in. Yeah, it'll play, it'll make a sound, but it may not play and make a sound for very long, depending on many things: pin block, bridges, soundboard, and so on. And that gets a little bit advanced into what you're looking for. I guess, talking about the soundboard a little bit, it's hard for an average buyer who doesn't know anything about tuning a piano or kind of with the look bar, to talk about a pin block. So I'm going to kind of pass over that a little bit. The pin block is how a tuner tunes it, and it's hard to test a pin block unless you know what you're doing. So we're going to pass over that. But I mean, one thing that you can do is look at the soundboard. The soundboard on the Grand is the wood part, not the cast iron part, but the wood part underneath the strings. Now you can see the soundboard from the top of the piano, or you can get underneath it and look up, and you'll see the wood. It's a thin piece of pine wood, and it should run the entire case of the piano. On the upright pianos, you could see the soundboard easily by looking at the back of the piano. But look at the soundboard, and if you can, there's ribs that run along the soundboard, and you want to make sure that the piano doesn't have lots and lots of cracks. If you could see through the soundboard, you could see light through the crack. That crack's pretty big, and you know, that that doesn't necessarily mean that the piano is no good or the piano is bad. Sometimes a crack has very little to no effect on the tone at all, and then a crack sometimes could have a lot of effect. It could make the piano buzz. The piano may have lost its crown, and there's a couple other issues with soundboards and cracks. But for the most part, you know, a crack, one crack or a couple cracks shouldn't really scare you away from buying that piano. If it's the winter time, it's very dry, it might develop a small crack. Well, in the spring and summer through the fall, it'll close back up and have very little effect. But that's something to look for, a cracked soundboard. Something that you might want to look up on the internet if you have time. Look up how to check a soundboard on a piano, how to check the pin block, and how to check the ribs, and how to check the bridge of the piano. And those are kind of the main sections of the heart of the piano. If you're spending $10,000, $15,000 on the piano, you know, that's something you want to know about. When you get to that level and you're considering buying a used piano, I would strongly recommend hiring a piano technician from the Technicians Guild, Connecticut chapter if you're in Connecticut, but the chapters are nationwide, to have them go check it out to make sure that you know, those parts of your piano are good that you're considering buying. It could be the difference of a $20,000 piano that plays and you spending $20,000 and needing $10,000 in repair because the pin block is no good. So it's a big deal, and you know, when you're spending $5,000 and up, I would highly recommend that. Even if you're, you know, spending $2,000 or $3,000 and you could find somebody to come out and check the instrument out for a couple $100, it's probably a good investment. So hope that covered some ground for you. Yeah, take your time with buying a piano. It's a big investment, and a good piano that you buy should have many years, possibly generations of fun and learning and love in your home. So a good piano that you buy should outlast a car, in my opinion. So yeah, if you have any questions or you want some help in purchasing a piano, or you want to buy one of our pianos, give me a call at Wade's Piano Center, and hope I answered some questions you might have. Thanks so much.